Hi everyone, it's Sam, NFTstatistics, and this is your Proof Daily NFT Countdown. Coming at you today and this week, next week, maybe not this week because I'm going to LA, but I'm coming at you now from Wisconsin, where I grew up. Going to be here for a couple weeks with a little trip to LA in between because of a Proof event. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but a lot to talk about today. This weekend was just all about the Azuki Elementals drop that happened, their event. Going to talk a little bit about LooksRare and also dive a little bit on what's going on with Bored Ape Yacht Club buyers and sellers there. Obviously, a lot of price movement happening. Starting off, though, with a quick market overview. Volumes were down yesterday, up over the weekend before, or up on Saturday before then. Not a whole lot exciting there. Unique buyer wallets trending slightly lower, but kind of in the range that they've been in. In terms of prices, the large cap index, since I saw you last, because I wasn't here on Friday, since I saw you last, the large cap index was down 3 to 4%. So a bit of a down move. Had a little bit of strength in VFriends, but serious weakness in a few projects. Bored Ape Yacht Club down 3% because it had a rally, but I think that that's the most important one as the largest constituent in this index. Captain's also a bit weak. In terms of the mid cap index, basically flat over the weekend. Had some strength in Oni Force, some weakness in a kid called Beast, which has kind of been trending lower. Was a hot mint, got up to about 2 ETH, but now down around 0.35 ETH, I believe, is where the floor is. You know, I think Bored Ape Yacht Club, and this is a log chart, but what you can see there is that we really just kind of torpedoed downward over the weekend. Floor went all the way down to below 34 ETH before really bounced back all the way up to about 39 ETH, and then kind of fell a little bit. Now we're in that 37, 38 ETH range. You know, one of the things I always talk about is new NFTs dumped into bids for the first time. So long-term holders who are selling NFTs that they've been holding and dumping them into blur bids, giving farmers more to digest. And what this looks at is the 7-day trailing average and your 7-day trailing cumulative. And what you can see here is that we kind of got up to the peak for where it had been in about 3 months. So really a lot of people dumping Bored Apes into bids for the first time. And it started to slow down a little bit over the past couple of days. But there are two pieces to this equation, right? The first piece is how many new sellers are dumping into bids. And then the second piece is how many long-term holders are buying who are going to hold and take NFTs out of that blur airdrop farming pool. And that's what's really kind of relevant here, I think, in this Bored Ape picture. And the reason is FAF Wallet, owned by Pimp Capital, which we have talked about extensively, just has been buying Bored Apes, bidding on Bored Apes, and holding them. Remember, what's unique about Pimp Capital is that he's basically sold almost no ETH NFTs. You know, he really kind of moved over when DeGods made the switch to ETH. But since then, he's bought a ton of NFTs and hasn't really sold a single one. I mean, there are a couple apes that he's sold, but almost nothing. So the result here is that so many NFTs are being taken out of that airdrop farming pool, and it's really offsetting a lot of the dumps. If you look here, these are the wallets that have bought the most Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs over the past 3 weeks. And you can see that top one is FAF, has bought 90. The second is Punks OTC, then the Blend wallet. But then the next 4 are all wallets that I believe are alt accounts for the FAF wallet, alternative Pimp wallet accounts. The reason I think they're, one, they had big lots of NFTs dumped from big lots of ETH, kind of random non-round lots of ETH dumped into the wallet. Some of them got 500 ETH from a Binance account. Some got 632, just really random numbers, but they were all from Binance, all random kind of large numbers, and had very similar bidding strategies going for Bored Apes, primarily also Mutant Apes, DeGods, Rap CryptoPunks. So all 4 of these wallets, I believe, are FAF. And you can see that they've basically sold no Bored Apes. So that has really been huge for kind of ending the tailspin that Bored Ape Yacht Club was in. A little bit about the specific numbers. When I add up those wallets, it's 134 Bored Apes total bought in 3 weeks, about $10.7 million worth. Now, when people hear 134, they think that's not that many. There are only 10,000 Bored Apes in the entire ecosystem. So it's only 1.34%. That's not that huge. But the fact is, it doesn't matter how many apes exist. It matters how many apes are actually trading. And that is 31% of total Bored Apes that have traded at all over the past 3 weeks, and 42% of the total Bored Apes that have been dumped into bids over the past 3 weeks. So FAF has held and vaulted, basically has bought and vaulted 42% of all the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs that have been dumped into bids over the past 3 weeks. So that is having a very massive impact. Let's also talk about Azuki, and we're going to talk about this more. You know, you can see here that the price went down pretty substantially after the Friday event. I think you got to think about it ex-dividend. You know, all the holders got something, and after they got that thing, the price went down. And that thing right now, we'll just say, is worth about 2 ETH. So when you actually look at this wall, and this includes all the drops they've had, it was basically flat when you include a 2 ETH value for the elemental beans that were dropped to Azuki. So pretty decent, pretty decent performance for kind of what's normally a buy the rumor, sell the news event. You can see here in terms of Azuki's dumped into bids for the first time after the event. We got more than 40. That was one of the higher numbers that we've had again in 2 to 3 months. So not too surprising given that a catalyst passed. Then a few more recently over the past couple of days, but broadly Azuki holding up pretty well. Let's talk quickly about art projects. Where was the most volume over the weekend? 3 projects, at least over the past 24 hours, did more than 10 ETH of volume. Chromie Squiggles Gazers. I also have X copy his page there as one that did a 12 ETH trade. But let's look a little bit at some of the big sales. A Gazer sold for 13.2 ETH. Certainly at the low end of the range for Gazers. We've had a bunch of sales in the 15 to 17 ETH range, so a bit low for that. A bunch of Squiggles sold, but they were all around floor. This one sold for 11 ETH and was the most expensive sale of the ones over the past few days. Life in West America, this piece sold for 5 ETH. This is on Braindrops, not Art Blocks, but our Life in West America, the floor right now is up to about 4.8 ETH. There were 2 sales over the past 24 hours, so seeing a bit more life there. And then the bottom right is a Ringer, pretty nice 5x5 here, which sold for 40 ETH. Second thing to talk about, and we touched on it already, but let's dive into this Azuki Elementals story. I think to me, this is one of the biggest stories that we've had over the past 4 months. I mean, Azuki has really bucked the bear market trend, done incredibly well. I think largely, one, because they have an incredible community that really loves the project, but also because they've had this upcoming event. So what happened? They basically launched a video where they launched this Elementals project, kind of a lot of this anime kind of art throughout that video. At the event, Zagabond showing very similar look to the look that he had, back in April 2022 when he first said, "Hey, by the way, check your wallets." And it was kind of the mic drop moment, I'd say, of the year. One of the best moments of the year. Sorry if it wasn't April, but somewhere in the spring of 2022, and that was when they dropped beans and, really helped the price. He had a very similar thing this year, where kind of very similar look, very similar mic drop moment. Here he is, check your MF wallet. Pretty cool. Wish I could have been there. I've been to one Azuki event. It was awesome. As far as the details for when he said, check your wallets, what are you looking at? It's this Elementals project. There are 20,000 NFTs to be dropped. It's often compared to the Mutant Ape Yacht Club. The way Mutant Apes is to Bored Apes, they're saying Elementals will be to Azuki, and that's more kind of holders and onlookers saying that as opposed to the project. And this kind of relegates Beans to the Bored Ape Kennel Club. Kind of like Beans is mainly like a meme that who knows what they're going to do with it. It hasn't really had a ton of things done with it since they dropped. And, it seems like Elementals is now kind of replacing them as that second tier project. 10,000 of the NFTs were dropped to Azuki holders for free. And then 10,000 more are going to be sold for 2 ETH each. Okay. And Azukis get the first go at it. Then Beans get a go, and then the public. Now, it will be a Dutch auction, so the price could go lower, but I don't think it will. My guess is that Azuki who are going to buy them, or the ones who are paying attention are going to buy them. There's only a 10-minute window. Then the Beans, they're 10,000, so they're 10,000 Azuki, but probably a few thousand Azukis. And then my guess is there will be a gas war among the Beans to try to get whatever's remaining. And my guess is it won't make it to the public. Assuming they go for 2 ETH, that's about $37 million that Azuki is raising here, which will lead to more things that Azuki can do and more of a war chest for Azuki. A bit more about it. There are 4 tiers. You can see here on the right, the Elementals come in tier 1, 2, 3, 4, sort of similar to Serums a little bit. Serums had M1, M2, and then the Megas. So different numbers, different amount of levels, but kind of a similar idea. They can reveal after the public sale. So after the public sale, we'll see the art. So I think it's probably different from Serums in that sense, where Serums had to interact with a Bored Ape in order to create a new mutant. I'm not sure. My sense is that these Elementals kind of stand on their own. Right now, they're locked for trading, so we can't see the price. My guess is they'd be well above 2 ETH if we could. And then last thing to mention is that, one of the interesting elements here is that so many Azukis right now are held in the BendDAO wallet as well as the Blend wallet, primarily the Blend wallet. And basically, those that were in the Blend or BendDAO or other lending wallets where the owner has borrowed money against them and can't access to them are going to be able to claim their Elemental later on the Azuki website. So kind of an interesting component there. It's why if you go to the Elemental page, you'll see there aren't 10,000 in existence because there are a handful that are being waited to be, or kind of being that are on hold to be claimed. Okay, so that's a lot about this project. I think it's kind of cool. Just my basic take on it. One, people always talk about dilution, increasing the supply of a project. Now, we have seen that increasing the supply of a project, when it creates new price points, when it expands the universe, can work. it clearly worked very well for Bored Ape Yacht Club. When a project is in favor, when a project, I always say NFTs are kind of like nightclubs. It's like, what are the interesting ones to go to? They very often like lose their popularity pretty quickly. But when they're hot, they're hot. And right now, Azuki is the hot project. And I think when you are the hot project, it works. It can work to dilute the project, to create more supply, get more people talking about it, create more price point availability. So, I'm not as convinced as some people that this is all that much of a negative. We'll have to see. I do think they will trade up above 2 ETH. The thing that I'm wondering is what will be the next catalyst. So much of the excitement around Azuki has been waiting for this event. Now that this event is gone, what will be the next catalyst? People have talked about a coin possibly happening. That was what happened with Bored Apes. After Bored Apes launched Mutant Apes, very shortly after they said ApeCoin's coming soon, and that kept interest in the project for 8 months. It was like that upcoming catalyst was a really huge factor. So who knows what's next for Azuki? I think that getting an understanding for what people can be excited about is pretty important. And it doesn't have to be that way. If you look at DeGods right now, they're very hot. They don't have a very clear single cap. I think people are excited for season 3 art, but you don't have as clear of a catalyst as like Captains where you have meme coin. But it'll be interesting to see what is next for Azuki and what keeps people excited beyond just the culture and community that they have built. Third thing to talk about, LooksRare launches an affiliate program. Here's a tweet from LooksRare. Earn up to 50% on every trade your referred users make. Apply today. So you can apply to be an affiliate. Basically, the goal here is to compensate users who refer other people. They're going to get 50% of platform fees are going to go to the person who refers you. So if you get referred and you make a bunch of trades and you pay platform fees to LooksRare, your referrer will get half of those. Each referrer is going to get a unique URL. And once a user clicks on that URL, they're going to be bound to you as the referrer for 30 days. And then the affiliates get a unique dashboard that they can use. I don't think this is huge news, but if you look at total NFTs that have been traded on LooksRare, just using this to kind of get rid of some of the trades that were a bit wash trade in nature, you can see that, we're obviously down very, very bad, but we've had some recent spikes as I've done a bunch of different incentive programs. Here's a bit more zoomed in, seeing a little bit more NFTs traded there relative to the past few months, but nothing too crazy. Clearly still just like a very small piece of the overall puzzle when you look at it relative to Blur and OpenSea. Now, my basic view here is that what differentiates Blur and their incentive structure is money is just being taken kind of out of nowhere and dumped into the ecosystem via the Blur token. They're giving out hundreds of thousands of dollars of rewards per day and kind of future Blur that no one is actually paying. So we'll see if the LooksRare incentive structure can dive into that in any way. I think it might be a little bit difficult, but will be interesting to see. And then lastly, let's talk about some notable sales. A whole lot of art traded over the weekend. A bunch of stuff over 10 ETH. Let's get right into it. Pop art from Alpha Centauri Kids, Broken Keys, sold for 27 ETH. I believe that this is one of the pianos that we've talked about. We had them on the podcast. I believe this one was bought for about 11.6 ETH. So massive 2-month profit for whoever bought it in the auction. But congratulations. I mean, there's nothing available in this project. The floor right now is around 39 ETH. Just not that many for sale. People want to hold on to their pianos. So awesome to see someone get it, and a big win for the seller. Top 1 of 1 sale over the weekend, Trail of Fire by Otherworld, sold on AOTM, Art of the Millennium for 50 ETH. Just a massive sale for this market. It is not often. I'm talking about 50 ETH sales. If you look at other Otherworld sales, he's had a bunch of sales above 50 ETH, kind of in that 70, 66, 80 ETH range during more bull market times. Also some cool stuff at like the 25 ETH range. This is a huge sale right now for where we are in the market. Otherworld also has a project called Experiments, which was one of the drops to Super Genesis pass holders. And that has a lower floor. You have one there for under 0.4 ETH. So if you want to get some of Otherworld's art, here's a way you can do it via his Experiments project. But congrats to Otherworld, the buyer, and the buyer on that. Next piece to talk about, Can of Worms by Tony Babel. This piece sold for 10 ETH, another animation in the typical Tony Babel style. Tony Babel is a designer, animator, illustrator who creates vintage animated loops. Really cool stuff. He's had a bunch of great sales, kind of in that 15 to 30 ETH range, but I think this Can of Worms is pretty iconic. This was a secondary sale, but love to see that one. That is all from me today. I hope you liked the show. If you did, give us a like. Tell us what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow, but this week, I mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be in LA because we have a proof event. So this week, we're going to be doing shortened shows, but I still want to do it. I still want to be sure that we're not taking a week off or anything. So we will have a show tomorrow. It's just going to be a shorter version. So be ready for that. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you then.